Hello my friends, welcome to another episode of Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr. My name is Wilfred. So in this video, I'd like to share with you a guide for Battle Sister, one of the latest classes that's been being added onto the game. Just a little bit introduction on myself. I play this game for close to 700 hours. I've got a level 100 character for all the classes out there. So I'd like to share with you how I build my Battle Sister. I have a lot of fun with her. And this video will have a time code. You can check out the time code below. I'll break it down into my thought on this new class, the mechanic of playing the Battle Sister, the gear choices, the sandbox doctrine, as well as the shard choices, attribute, perks, as well as heroic deeds and morality, and last but not the least, the actual passive for the build. As always, guides like this are meant to inspire you to create a build of your own. This game is more like a sandbox, unlike say Diablo or Path of Exile, whereby you have to copy all the gears and all the stats and all the passive in exactitude to be awesome. This game isn't really like that. You could build around the gear that you've got, and you can choose the gear that give you the kind of gameplay that you like. So that's why I really like this game as well. And let's dive into it. Part one is really talking about my thought and review on the Battle Sister. I would say out of all the classes, my favorite ones are still Tech Priest and Psyker. So Battle Sister is somewhere in the middle of it, above the Crusader as well as the Assassin. That's my thought around it. She has her own mechanic, and it's really about the faith abilities. All right, and so I would say that the overall gameplay of the Battle Sister is gaining the faith in order to reach a point whereby you can turn into an angel. They call it embodied saint form. And in the embodied saint form, then you will be able to perform a different set of ability under the saintly deeds. And I would say the cycle is a little bit too long for me, because it takes a while before it can turn into an embodied saint form. And in that form, while you're leveling, it's pretty awesome. But at the end game, the form kind of falls short compared to the build I have. The build I have is a lot more durable, a lot more fun, and the embodied saint form, it doesn't have the same kick, and sometimes even put myself into greater danger. So at end game, I don't use it at all. I wish it was designed in a different way, but that's my review of the Battle Sister in terms of how I see her. I think leveling is pretty fun, and by and large you probably spend around 60 to 70 hours to level to 100 anyway, so you have plenty of time to enjoy your embodied saint form, which is an angel wing behind you dealing ability on this side. But I think it's a kind of missed opportunity. I prefer the Psyker kind of like a mechanism when they gain the warping hit, but I guess they have to build something different, not to have the same kind of class mechanic across. So mechanic-wise, there are three parts to the Battle Sister. One part is the Act of Faith. Depending on the gear they've got, you can have up to 4 acts of faith. If you just want to have 2 weapon abilities plus another 4 kind of a wild card, I would say, to have act of faith, you can drag and drop your whichever act of faith that you like to put into this hotbar, and you can perform the act of faith like ability. Usually act of faith come with 2 parts to it. One is the active part, another one is the passive. So the passive means that you have that kind of stats with you without doing anything, and the active are the one that if you click onto it, then it does something. And some of them is a toggle, some of them is like 37 cooldown kind of mechanism. So it's kind of fun. You can pick anything from here, which is the act of faith, onto your hotbar. Now, in order to acquire faith, there are different ways. You can have different ways to do to collect faith and so on. You can experiment which one you like. Like I said, during leveling, the whole mechanism is very fun. End game, I don't really bother at all, but yeah, it is what it is. This is the part where I can choose as you level up which of the mechanism you like to have in order to acquire the faith. And once you've got the faith, you can click the button. I think it's X button in PC, and you can transform into a battle angel form. They call it embodied saint form, and that would you can pick different kind of ability to perform as well. So that is the overall mechanic of it. And now my take of this is that I don't need too many of the acts of faith in. I mean, I think there's one that is really super awesome, which is the bolts of retribution, mainly because at the passive, you cause vulnerability per damage type on hit, so that increase the chances of it. I have 2 of the act of faith. That means that I have plus 40 chance for to cause vulnerability, and vulnerability is really important in this game as well. Another one that I could use between the 2, I have no preference. I think if you are leveling, the expurgation sweep is nice because it gives you the supreme movement speed. Moving faster as a battle sister is always better as any character. It also can pull the enemy onto you, but I don't really like the calm mechanism. It's just too long the cooldown to become useful, if you get me. The next one, you can have the Perverted Fury, and I like the passive of it because if once you lose your HP, you kind of recover quite fast when this act of faith is not active. So I kind of like the cushion to in the event whereby I get hit with a big HP loss, health point loss. But other than that, have I used the active of it? I haven't, because it's actually quite punishing. It's kind of interesting though, because if you are unlocking ancient weapon, just a tips for you. I used some of the ancient weapon required to receive suppression damage or damage to XP. So I just click this fury on, and then I see my health drain down until below the suppression point, and I'm receiving suppression damage, and it helped me to unlock the ancient, because as a battle sister of my build is very, very durable. So it's very rare that I would suffer suppression damage, if at all, because I don't let my suppression to drop below green. All right, so that is the act of faith. Like I say, sacred rites. If you like to experiment, you can experiment each one of them and to see that which one you can accumulate faith sooner, faster. For larger map, you can pop it 2 times, but most of the time for mission, you do it in 2-3 minutes or less than 2 minutes. You can only pop it at most 1 time. So that is one that you need to take note of. In terms of the ability, in the embodied saint form, you can. This one is a given. So it is a cleave attack in the frontal cone. I don't necessarily like this one because it is very short. It's a medium range, because sometimes I do need to stay away from some of these very damaging aura or stuff on the ground. So this I don't really like that, and especially for like data hunt or some kind of like artifact kind of mission, you have to stand in the middle of the in the circle, and none of this ability has any reach that I can hit any further. I just keep receiving damage but not being able to step out of the circle to hit it. So that's another reason why I don't like the embodied saint form. But anyway, because mine's a hit and area build, so everything I pick here is hit and area. So you can take a look at this one. I think the cooldown is a bit too long, and it does consume a fair bit of faith, but things like this one, apply 10 stack of hit vulnerability, is not bad at all. I can do a bit of burning as well, and so on. Yeah, so this is something that you could think about. Another reason why this embodied saint form doesn't work for me is that I built around damage over time to recover suppression, and that's my build because it's super durable. My suppression never fall, very seldom fall below green. But in body stain form without the very reliable burning that doesn't have cooldown, I always find it a little bit hard to maintain my health in a meaningful way. So, but anyway, you can take a look at what sort of ability that you like. If you like to play the physical as well, presumably you like to play the melee, for example. There are ability that is more for physical. By the way, those are icons are yellow in color. You can see hit is red and physical is yellow. It's very nice in this game. Small things that other games may not have, and this game has all this nice color coding for you as well. All right, so that's enough talk on the mechanic. So I hope you understand how to choose your act of faith, sacred rites, as well as saintly deeds for your battle system. Now, part 2 is about the gear, because the gear is defined how you play the character. So now let's take a look at what I've got here. And the main thing, of course, let's take a look at the weapon first. The weapon, I have 3 ability. One is the barrage. The barrage is nice. It's a very, very long range. It's super long range. It's like very, very far. You can hit very, very far. It does have the burning as well. You can channel, and it has an aerial effect. And it's very nice. You can keep igniting your enemy across multiple location, and they get burned at the same time. It does have a nice kind of like an area damage, area effect as well as you invest a passive. So this is a very nice, beautiful, my bread and butter kind of ability. Another one that I also like is the Nova. Nova is when the enemy comes near me, and I can just do a Nova cross, and it has a pretty good damage. It's 5,000 odd. It is basically, of course, higher than barrage, but because of the cooldown, the DPS is lower. That's how they calculate. So you cannot keep novaing. Is there such a word? Having the Nova, but it's a very good kind of like addition to the burn that you have got, and that's burning as well. Last but not the least, of course, there's a focus beam. There's a whole lot of like attribute there: channel, armor breaking, knockback, high suppression, castigation, burning, cone effect. So it's a wonderful kind of like ability, but this has a very medium range. So you have to, it's a fire that you put off, and then you just have to kind of like get a pretty near range to the enemies. So it's a bit of like it's very versatile. You have things that are going long range, short range, and and also Nova and a medium range. So it's wonderful. So this is the ability I've got, and also I'm having one of these act of faith slots that I use to have the act of faith. The other one, because I think I need at least 2. So another one, I'm choosing a Celestian armor, which give me another act of faith slot. But can you do other because this defines the subclass of the battle system. There are 2 other subclasses as well that give the mobility, allow you to jump to different part of the map faster. You could do that too. It's just that you have to make certain kind of like a decision whether you want to have the mobility or you want to use banner as well, because the banner, which is this one here, is something that could have an act of faith slot, but then if you do not have the act of faith slot, you can trade it with the banner, and banner is very unique to battle system. You could use other belt item as well, grenade, or there's one that does surprise. If you want to play a little bit of like assassin, kind of like go into exposed stage and then use all this exposed kind of like mechanic to deal damage. You can do that too. It's very flexible. But I personally feel that the banner of incandences, which is probably one of the best banner for this build, because mine is a hit area DOT build, and it does immediately add 10 hit vulnerability to enemy within the radius. So usually I will then jump into the as I move into the bosses, I'll drop the banner. And then also there's a chain as well. If you can move the chain, it's kind of fun. It does it does pretty good damage, because you can hear the sound go boom 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 when the chain does the continuous damage to any enemy that pass through the chain. So I find that quite interesting. Although I don't like banner, it is kind of weak, but then I kind of like, you know, okay with this banner. So with that said, I mean, you have the weapon that does 3 ability, pretty good. There are 2 and 4 as well, but I do want to free up 1 act of faith, 1 act of faith here. Then I have a banner here, and so that's how I roll. Now I've talked about the weapon already. As for the signum, there are many choices. I kind of prefer on the crit hit and crit hit chance and crit hit strength, because if you take a look at my stats here, my crit hit chance is there about 50%, so that's pretty decent. Crit hit strength is a bit weaker, but then because I'm using the inoculator, that boosts my crit hit chance and strength, so I actually pretty decent, I would say. It's always a balance, you can't have everything, but I do find that these 2 signums does help me to increase my crit kind of like to a very good point, and it does give me resolve as well, which could be a good or bad thing. I'll talk about passive in the last session of this video, but it does have a resolve. I'm okay with that. And of course, there are other signum choices as well. Feel free to experiment. As for inoculator, I already said that you know, I like the murder dust, which is the yellow one that give me 5% supreme crit hit chance, 20% crit hit strength, as well as for 20 seconds on use. So what it means is that if you already hit the crit chance cap, which I think is 60%, you can go above that as well. But there's really no point pushing so much crit, because you need other things like crit damage and crit hit strength to make it worthwhile. And it does give you the plus 20 crit hit strength as well. So that's why I like it. The 2 red kind of I like 2 red because it does give me 10% HP as well as the 75% suppression, because when I need to use inoculator, sometimes I use it for buffing myself, but usually when a bad thing happen, and by then you need to use an inoculator, means that your suppression probably be wiped off, and a lot of bad things can happen to you when the suppression is low. You can get stunned when you're overwhelmed, you can get like a knockdown, you can get many bad things when your suppression is yellow and red. Last but not the least, I do like the cooldown reduction for the inoculator, but there are other ways to get around it as well. You can configure the color. Well, you can't change the color, but you can pick the inoculator of different color to it to mix and match what you feel. If you feel that most of the time you don't need to use it for health and suppression or suppression, then you may want to go for one red, and then maybe choose a different kind of like different type of the other 2 of them. Just feel free to mix around whatever that make you feel great. But this is very generic. I can use that for hard content, easy content. I'm fine. Easy content I use it to buff my crit. Hard content I use to replenish my health and suppression. So that's what I've got. I talked about banner already. As for the implant and so on, yep. I mean, these are the gear I've got. Now you may notice that I don't really build around the I don't really build around the enrage as well as the enrage token as well as berserk token. You could do that too, but that usually would require a little bit more farming, or even using archaeotech kind of gear as well. Now you could use archaeotech gear, which is the red one. Some of this, like this type are the red one. You can use the red one. As you are leveling up, I found that it's useful to use the archaeotech one. Just get the best kind of like most number of affixes. Like for example, get like 6 affixes, 2 for 6 affixes for some of these things, and it's very helpful if you get a high number of enchants. They call it enchants in this game. You can craft any stats that you want. You can make your character as strong as you like with some of these offensive stats, or as defensive as you like some of these like all resist and resist and so on. So I would say start with the architect, the red item, relics, and then as you gain access to Void Crusade at a higher tier, like maybe level 110, then you should be collecting ancient relics for Battle Sister. I think overall is much better investment. All right, so that's part 2. Now, next part, I'd like to talk about Psalm Doctrine. As you play the game, you may collect a lot of these like Psalm codes, and all these things have stats to it. But the most wonderful thing is that as you combine the Psalm code, you become a Psalm Doctrine. In a Diablo world, if you play Diablo 2 or play Marvel Heroes in the past, those become rune words. So the rune itself has attribute, but when you combine them together, it becomes a much better one. So I personally feel that the Psalm Doctrine in this game is very overpowering, to the point whereby a lot of time the gear stats doesn't quite matter because of the it's just how powerful they are. So what do I do? Like this one here, I use the Psalm Doctrine for plus 70 hit damage bonus. You can go to their compendium, by the way, go to Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor compendium, and they will list out all the Psalm code doctrine for you, Psalm Doctrine for you, so you don't need to look at the little icon there. But basically I form the 3 Psalm codes, so you can see the 2 green and 1 purple, into the orange text underneath, cost plus 70% hit damage bonus, and that's what I have. Very powerful. The next one I've got here, 2 cannot be made into a doctrine, so that become a shard. Shard can be you can use shard for many kind of like combination. Pick the one that plug the gap in your build, because my gap right now would be the crit hit strength is my gap, so I plug it that way. In terms of the armor, you can have 4 Psalm code and form a Psalm Doctrine. You can even have 5 or 6 as well. I personally don't feel that I need to go into the 6th one, so I think having the aura of 100% hit damage per second is great, and my hit damage is like 300% above. So as you see, some of my video is that as I walk across the enemy, they get burned and they kind of like that disseminate, sort of like destroy, disintegrated. So that is a good one. So you only need 4 slots. The other 2, up to you what you want to do with it. I put it onto the resist, because I found that the 2 of the resist are kind of a little bit lacking, so I just need to top up a little bit closer to the cap to make myself a bit more kind of shall I say durable. But you can put any shards that you feel you need to. All right. Then as for the inoculator, I have the 3 Psalm Doctrine that form as the core of this build, which is 10% of all damage over time damage done is gained as a suppression. So if you look at my video, as I receive damage, normally when I receive damage, your suppression will come down, but because of the damage over time that I have across the enemy field, my suppression is always being topped up by the damage over time. So I found that this doctrine is pretty cool. If you don't like it, if you feel confident, you can change it to another one that you like, maybe another more hit damage if you like. But I do find that this make me become very durable. Last but not the least, when it comes to weapon, again, I only need 4. So I have 125% hit damage bonus to my character, and then I have additional hit damage bonus from the level 4 shards that I have got there, which is 50%, which is not bad. I mean, the whole 6 slot there become 175%. Is a decent amount of hit damage that you have got here. All right, cool. So that is a Psalm Doctrine. I've got a different set as well, by the way. Just want to touch on to that part, is that I like a flamer. A flamer kind of fun. Is it as powerful as the set one? Probably not. I mean, flamers, but it does have the going forward and backward kind of mechanism. You can go fire flame cone while you advance while you fire, which is kind of cool because you can't move and burn, or you can just retreat while you disengage. They call it disengage because Inquisitor never retreat. You can disengage while you walk backward while you are burning as well. So it's a bit of forward backward. It's really fun, and it does have the scorched earth that will land like you can see the fire going into an enemy. It can become like a whole bunch of fire and even more fire that ignite as well. So it's a fun kind of like a really fun kind of like a gear, and if you can get that, why not? And it does give me a even better chance of crit as well. I mean, if you take a look at my character shade here, I got plus 64. Then yeah, I mean that's not bad. It's still not the best. Of course, once I use Inoculator, it does put me to the third tier. So it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. So that is the gear choice I've got together with the doctrine. I think one last point to note is that the orange text means something, and try to pick the one that makes more sense to your character, your build as well. I like to build around suppression, so that is good. Slow and not bad is also good. So just pick those ancient affixes that make sense, but you don't have to follow exactly the ancient that I've got, because you could farm a battle run, or you may want to build it around something else. All right. Next bit is on the attribute. Attribute is a quick one. I prefer, okay, there's a bug going on, so every time you log on the game, you have to go and minus and plus again, because otherwise you go into the first mission with lesser points, but then it'll all come back up later. So now it's 75. No wonder I was wondering why just now my set 2 was terrible. 75, and now okay, so it's the same thing. Okay, now my personal choice would be 20, 20, 25. But because like I said, the Signum give me plus 8 resolve, I cannot minus anything further than this part, so there's no point. So how this work is that the Contempt is the one that is good. I think unlock up to rank 4, but rank 5 is really to do with the embodied sane form, if you'd like to play that. But like I said, endgame I don't really use that. Resolve, so this one is, of course, the more point you have, the more base damage you've got. The next one is Resolve, make your HP and suppression slightly better. And the last two are not really that, the last 3 is actually not that important. I wish I could just drop it all the way to rank 2 and then distribute it to either distribute to Passion, but anyway, I can't do that. So this is Resolve. And last but not the least, the Passion is probably one of the better one. The rank 4 is not that helpful, but the last rank is, I could have got 75% duration to booster, which is yellow type Inoculator, that in my case would be increasing the crit as well as the crit strength, the crit chance and the crit hit strength as well. But unfortunately, that is a Signum choice that I make, and that boosts my Resolve, but then I don't have enough for Passion. But if you were to build your own battle sister, I think the Passion is a bit more useful at end game, but nonetheless, if you are leveling, the embodied sane form is quite fun to play with as well, so no complaint towards it. But like I said, my preference will be 20, 20, 25, but just the gear choice I've got, and I am unable to attain that. Okay, and of course, now that you talk about the attribute, let's talk about the stats as well. And the stats is important, and let me just write down here. You would try to get the damage reduction, resistance, as well as suppression damage reduction close to 60%, which is the cap. So if you get close to it, it's a balanced act as well, because you could take away some of these shards or stats and put it into offense as well. But I do find that if you can build something like that, your battle sister is a lot more durable, I would say. It does pay off when you do harder content that you don't kite too often. You just go in and deal the damage. And the from the offense wise, I mean, try to get a nice crit hit chance is important. All classes, all builds require crit hit chance except the Tap Priest, whereby the pet, if you play the Tap Priest as the pet build, it doesn't crit. So that's the only exception. Always go for crit. Build around this as well. I can do range as well, but I think in the end I choose the hit bonus as well as the I don't really see here the area damage bonus as well. Yeah, and the damage bonus damage against burning. You tend to burn a lot. So that is my attribute and my stats. Next topic is on the perks. Now, if you watch some of my past video, one of the past video, I've actually choose different perks. Some of them is faster movement. Some of them, higher DPS and so on. I actually laid out in a 2x2 kind of like screen. I reset the dungeon or the mission. I just terminate it and restart again. And I do a timing. Cause it majority of the perks doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what perks you pick really. It doesn't transform your character in a meaningful way, like they say some doctrines. So don't think too much about which perk you want, rather than picking one that you feel you like to have it. So I like utility one, like this one here. Can't lose more than 30% or maximum HP to a single hit is useful because sometimes you get one shot if you're not careful at the high difficulties, like the explosion, and you just lose the entire life. So you try to, I think this is kind of good at the end game, but if you don't need this, I will recommend the one that increase your movement speed. Is wonderful. I mean, because this battle system doesn't do teleport or dash, so it's just pure walking. So the faster you walk, of course, the better it is. So that is one. Oh, by the way, this one can scroll down as well. Yeah, I just want to give a little bit more. So there's a movement speed there. All right. Another one that I found it quite useful is the, again, overall hit damage bonus, and also the overhit per second -1 for range hit weapon, because it does get overhit for my weapon, and if you can manage the overhit better, you can do more continuous damage without having to switch weapon all the time. And last but not the least, a little bit mainly for my build, because I found that while I can use the barrage as well as the barrage to kill a lot of things, but a lot of time when the boss would be kind of near me, and I have to use the channeling skill. I have to use other kind of like like Nova, and this helped me if I'm at the medium range or at least the close range, because my Nova does 25% to 75% higher damage, so that's great. And then I use the I use the focus burn as well. That is very much just in your face kind of like a thing. So I do find that I can justify why I picked this guy. But again, I mean, feel free to pick any perk that you like. Like I said, it doesn't really matter that much. All right. Next topic is on the heroic deeds and morality. Now, always trying to complete all the deeds, because it does reward you with perks, reward you with even skill point, or attribute point as well. So all this is good one. So try to complete as much as you can. There are things that I haven't completed, like this one here, silence the gun, is a tactician perk. I think eventually I'll get there. It's kind of funny, I've done so many missions, only 21 of them is silence the guns. Don't ask me why. And if you play melee, you'll get this one. I don't really play melee. Maybe I just want to unlock this for the sake of completion. But it's not something that I'm actively chasing after. But do remember to complete complete the Battle Sister heroic deeds. These are like an achievement that has tangible reward to you as well. And talking about this, and I think I've myself another video to show you. There are some DLC that will give you the extra attribute point and skill tree. So it's one of these guys here. I can't quite remember which one it is. It could be Merciful Agony, that give you like you can buy the additional skill point as well as the skill point as well as the attribute as well. All right, cool. And the morality, you can choose Puritan, you can choose the radical as well. To be very honest, I think Puritan is overall better than the radical. But of course, if you play the radical, you gain XP faster. So you reach your level 100 faster, because I think radical is more open to new ideas and so on. Puritan give you a lot more durability related kind of like passive later on that you can see later. So I do find that Puritan is, kind of like what I foresee nearly all my characters are playing. The only time that you like to try our radical is if you want to build around the rob damage, but I don't really see a lot of opportunity to play that, even as I play the tech priest and the psyker. So do whichever you want. Puritan is good as well. The only thing is that if you are fixed on the certain morality in the storyline, right? Because that is where you get a story. You have got to go after the same story outcome that earn you the Puritan point or the radical point. So you cannot go back and forth between the two. Otherwise, you keep minusing each other, and you'll never get to either end of it, and it's not good. It's just how the game goes. However, if you want to I just want to play the story as I want, you can do that too. Means that you have to keep doing priority assignment. This guy here, that will request 3 requests a day. That sometimes the very first option to you would be the option for either a Puritan or the radical decision. So theoretically, if you keep playing every day, requesting 3 of them, abandoning those that doesn't give you any morality point, you could swing your morality in a certain direction, assuming that in the story you've been going back and forth between the decision to be a Puritan or radical. So it is doable, but I do not advise you to do that. You can roll a pure Puritan character to see all the story as a Puritan, and then you can roll a pure radical character to see the story of all the radical kind of decisioning. But try not to do back and forth between the two, otherwise you have to come to astral path. This astral path here to keep requesting the priority assignment, abandoning it if the very first decision does not involve any morality points to it. So I hope that gives you an idea. Now, the next bit is the passive, and passive is a very lengthy discussion as well. I'll try to go as concise as I can. In any character that I build, I always go into defense and health as my go-to. These are really important kind of passive to use. It does give you. I'm not going to go through every single note to explain to you, but it does give you a pretty nice suppression XP as well as the overall 10% on maximum XP and suppression. So this is a very good tree. Whether or not you need to have the some of these guys here, all right? It is very, very subjective to your gameplay style. Like, I never go into overwhelm, so I don't need that. My character doesn't do exposed state, unlike assassin, so I don't do that. Some of them is like if my health seldom drop below certain percentage, I don't do that, and so on. But however, you may have a different requirement, and if you don't have the same doctrine to gain health, gain suppression, another way could be through this pain suppression. All right, so that is the option that you have. So it's a bit of like the option there. Defense wise is no brainer. Everything. I mean, basically, it is the way for you to build up your resistance of rock resistant, burn, heat resistant, as well as physical resistant, until a point whereby any incoming damage that would be lethal, if the player survives, then you get the regen HP and so on. So that could be helpful as well. Some bit of it is nice. I like this damage reduction go into D flat. D flat is like a dodge. It totally nullify the damage coming up to you. 1 point, I get 7% of D flat. Why not, right? there are damage reduction that you like to build upon as well. So these are the notes that I find useful. The rest of it, I don't really find that helpful because I don't use cover as well. Right, so that's the health and defense. And the another one, of course, as a Puritan, you can pick things like maximum XP damage bonus. It's cool. Suppression generation after killing a daemon. There's quite a lot of daemon in this game, so also why not? I do find that bonus, and I mean 20% warp resistance by just one pawn there is like a steal. Why not? And last but not the least, we do see a lot of like daemons, and especially daemon engines are the big one. Especially the Azure Void Cruiser has daemon engine as well, so 20% is pretty cool. Do you need the rest of it? You probably not, but I mean it's really up to you how many points you have left. I'm actually stretching on points that I cannot spare for this one. So this one here is more to help you survive. Now, as you recall, my build is heat and area, so no surprise that I go for all the hit notes that I can get to get the crit that can burn the target. It does have the overhit weapon cooldown speed plus 50%, so it's a lot faster to recuperate the weapon overhit to remove all the overhit negative instances. And the crit also add hit vulnerability stats as well, so why not stack it upon enemy. Some other thing I don't really find it helpful, so I don't play with the overhit bar too much. You could do something like that. You can gain more kind of I mean this is arguably quite a good note as well now that I'm looking into it, but there are really a lot of options out there that I can't really put all the points to where I want to be. So that is the hit, and the area effect is a big one. Not going to go through all the points, but ultimately you get the suppression damage bonus to area of effect skill. And I think I almost opened up everything that I gain suppression as well on kill, so that's pretty cool. And I got the damage bonus to area skill for each enemy hit. So yeah, I mean these are the side notes that I find it, well, I mean they are quite profitable to me, so I picked them up. So that is the area effect. Then the next bit is very unique to Sister. It's a banner. I don't necessarily like the banner, because banner is kind of weak. Even if I try opening up everything, and my banner is just not too powerful at all, so I just open up the banner. But the good thing about banner, this tree is on the inoculator, and also the effectiveness for the yellow one, which is the damage, so I got plus 30% effectiveness. But overall it does give you a lot more inoculator capacity, like this +3 +3 +3 +3, and they give you like you don't even need to open up any cases or the supply box, the medical boxes, because you got so much medical thing that you can, if you are not doing too high kind of difficulties, you can keep popping the inoculator on cooldown to maintain your yellow, the salvo kind of inoculator buff, damage buff to yourself. I mean that's just insane. So I don't like banner, but I like this tree because of inoculator. And then I think there are some other thing that I also pick as well, which I find it quite helpful. But I mean you can pick anyone that you can pick anyone that you like to have as well. Some of these are more for survivability. Now that I look into it, maybe I could remove this point and give it to my hit instead. Yeah, that's one option there to buff my DPS in a way. All right. So that's banner. The cover the hit and area effect. Crit is no brainer for, like I said, for all classes or build except Tap Priest, Pet build. You have to go for crit, and it's good to invest in crit a little bit sooner. And there are some other notes that I don't really find it that kind of like helpful, because I don't go suppress, I don't go overwhelm. So these are things that I don't but you could also explore what kind of note that you want to side note that you want to get into it. But I think this is good enough. I can stack up to 10 times for 10% damage bonus for 10 seconds when a crit hit kills. So that is kind of helpful. And then I have suppression. I like suppression. I don't know about you guys. I mean, you could put in the range because I'm using a range weapon, but because my suppression never fall below, well, very, very seldom fall below green anyway, so I got a whole bunch of like bonus on all these things, like, you know, damage bonus, damage reduction, whatever. You can add anything that you can think about it. It's like all the good stuff, like all the stats here, I get it like 99% of the time. So to me, this is a very, very strong tree because I built around suppression, and it's good to build around suppression because that's how you survive, make yourself a lot more durable. And the remaining points of it, I go into warfare. Warfare is kind of interesting, not necessarily something that you require for the entire tree, but I do find that things like gain suppression per hit down, more importantly, is on ammo overheat as well, because and of course the 20% movement speed is a very good speed boost as I just boost myself through the dungeon. So I don't necessarily need a dash or teleport because I have got some of these very nice notes as well. So I think the warfare is nice. I pick it up to a point whereby I got just enough ammo overheat thing. The rest of it I don't really need to do because I don't do melee, for example, and these two arms are for melee, so it's not necessarily something I like to have as well. All right, now in terms of the order of unlocking this when you're leveling, you always try to buy a mine reset from the vendor on your ship because every 1 hour you get one mine reset. Initially it's expensive, but as you gain a lot of like credit, is very cheap to get there. So try to get as many mine. You don't have to put it into your inventory as well. You can keep consuming those mine reset, and they go into this number here. So it doesn't even take up your inventory space. Now the order of unlock, right? In my opinion, I always start with either health and or the defense. I'll start with health first because I found that Battle Sister at a lower level is a little bit more fragile. So I'll strongly suggest start with health. That will give you a nice kind of like durability right at the beginning level. I will actually go into a little bit on crit as well because that is when you see the damage, that is, you see a little bit better in terms of the damage. So these are something that I would like to start first. Suppression is really for towards the mid to late game because initially you still take hit and your suppression will still get wiped in a sense. So I don't really find it that useful. Depending on your leveling strategy, if you want to have hit and range, then you can start to invest in this guy and this guy, if so you wish to. Or if you want to do physical or melee, you can have melee, and there's one more on physical as well, which I haven't. You can have physical as well. So whether you want to do this one or this one, it's really up to you. Area effect, like I said, you could do it early, but I would say postpone it to mid to late game because it does invest a lot of points here. You may not even have that many compared to like hit attack, just a little bit here. You get pretty awesome. This one require a lot of like investment, so I wouldn't advise you until you get to the later game. Now once you unlock your Puritan, gradually try to put some points here as well. That's good. And then eventually you need to go into defense because when you come to the mid game, and that's when you found that all the fire, all the poison, which is physical, and all the warp damage kind of hurting you a great deal. That's when your defense will be up. So like I said, recap: start with health. Have a thing around crit, and also depending on whether you do melee, physical, or hit range, mix around with these two, and then after that come back to the defense part of it. If you like to do a little bit of banner, just experiment, go for it, the banner itself. All right, cool. So like I said, I mean, this video is a rather lengthy one, but this game is a very sandbox game. There's a lot of depth to it. I can talk a lot more on this one, last but not the least, final tips for you guys. If you are unsure about all the icon and so on, go into a menu. There's a little bar here. Open this bar, and you can actually read all these things. You know, and as you deal damage, you can see the icon start to light up, and you can tell. Sometimes you get lost track of your gear or what it does, all the SAM code that you have put in, forming the SAM doctrine. But then when you see all these icons, it gives you a very transparent way to see how you are damaging the enemy. And I think a lot of time we try to apply common sense to things like blind. For example, a lot of my friends thought that blind is really blinding the enemy, but it doesn't. It only affects when the target is having suppressed, means yellow suppression. So example like that, don't guess, just read it through and you understand what you're doing, and that help you form your whole gearing strategy. Because like I said, I mean, you know, you could pick any affixes that you want, but it has to make sense to the overall arcing build that you have. So all the best, good luck, and if I have found any new information or if I have missed out anything, I'll put it in the description or the comment, the pinned comment. Take a look at that. If I have an update to this guide as well, or any additional thoughts. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to drop a comment below. I'm more than happy to answer them. And I do have a cable, by the way. My cable is 2038 Red Riding Hood. Welcome to join and play together with the friends there. It's already maxed out the tax tree. I have 30 members, and by and large, most of them are pretty active as well. Although I don't really see them play when I play in my time zone, but I mean, do feel free to reach out to each other in the cable. There's a limitation on cable, only 30 people maximum, so I always have to look at who has not been logging in of late and have to replace them with those new applications as well. But fear not, I mean, you know, if you do want to play the game again and found that you're no longer with my cable, apply again and I'll add you back in. All right, cool. I'll see you next time. I don't know what the next topic would be, but I hope you enjoy this battle system video. All right, see you. Bye.